February 2025. 4th of February, sorry, 4th. Yes, yesterday was Vasant Panchami. Tomorrow is the Saptami, Advaita Acharya Goswami's Avirbhav appearance day tomorrow. So we'll be celebrating Ekadashi preparations tomorrow. And just to remember that Vishnu Tattva. So we'll have a short kirtan, and then we'll continue with the final chapter of our Raya Ramananda Samvada. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana 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 Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai. Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Jaya Radha Madana Mohan, Radha Madana Mohan Radhe, Jaya Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Oh Radhe, 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 Radhe. Jai Shishi Guru Garangagan Havaka Girit Hari Radha Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai Nityananda Rai Ki Jai Satchinandana Gaur Hari Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Asto Tadasara Shishimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurikishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Sachidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai Jai Vaishnav Sabhuvam Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai Jai Srila Baladevi Dibhushan Gaudivada Taracharya Ki Jai Jai Rasik Surumani Srila Vishnath Chakravarti Thakur Ki Jai Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya Ki Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami Ki Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shivata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhattadasa Raghunath Sat Goswami Prabhu's Ki Jai Arupa Nuga Guru Varga Ki Jai Swarup Damodar Raya Ramananda Gauda Parsada Ki Jai Namachat Shrilhardas Thakur Ki Jai Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol Om Agna Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jina Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Shnapitam Jina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kathamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Priya Surupe, Taita Surupe, Prema Surupe, Sahaja Virupe, Nijana Rupe, Papueka Rupe, Tatana Rupe, Swavilasa Rupe, Anapita chirim chirat kurana bharatino kalo samarapaitam unnata ujvala rasam savakti shriyam Hari purata sundara tuti katamba sadipita sada hridare kandare spuratu vasachinandanaha Yam pravajantam anapetyam apetykrityam Dvaipaino viraha katara ajuhava Putre titam mayatayo tarabo binedus tam sarvabhutam hridim munimanatoshmi Bhaktya vihina aptarara lakshay Shiptascha karmadi tarangamadye Kripamai tvam sharanam prapana Prinde namaste charanarvindam Bhajami radam aravinda netram Smarami radam madhurashmitasyam Vadami radam karuna paradram Tato mamarasti katyena kapi Tavai vasmi najivami tvaivina Iti vignai radhe tvam naivam charantikam. First of all, offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams onto the lotus feet of my most beloved Gurudev, Nitya Leela Pravishta Om, Astog Tarasara Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again, millions and millions of times, onto the lotus feet of our beloved Nitya Leela Pravishta Om, Astog Tarasara Shishimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And again, I'm offering millions of Dandavat pranams onto the lotus feet of our dear Master Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami Pad. And to all the assembled Vaishnava and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavnivyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, coming to our final chapter of this Ramananda Raya Samvada, and our appreciation for how we've reached this immaculate last chapter, where actually Mahaprabhu is going to reveal his true identity to Ramananda Raya. So this is very, very powerful, sacred last description of this remarkable pastime. And we're appreciating where we've come through. We've come through all these various steps, stages. And we should understand that these stages, they indicate lifetimes. It's not that just, oh, this Varnashram system, for example, is just a one lifetime stage necessarily. This can be many, many lifetimes. We can be in that stage of Varnashram, or in that accepting Varnashram as being the sadhya, the goal of life. And we should understand how exalted is that stage also, even though this is the very first proposition that Ramananda Roy is presenting. Or we can say, actually, from reading this together with all of you, I've just come to the very solid feeling that, of course, all of Ramananda Roy's words are directly coming from Mahaprabhu himself. Mahaprabhu has orchestrated this conversation to gift to the jivas these truths. So coming to Varnashram system is a very exalted stage through all the different species of life for a start, and then the human species of life that are away from India, for example, in Europe, etc., barbarians, tribal people, and so on, to elevate themselves through all those different lives to finally take birth in Varnashram system, which is only in India. This we should understand is why Krishna, Ram, all the avatars only manifest in India. It's described they will only manifest where the Varnashram system is in place or has been in place. That environment is conducive to the advent or the incarnations of all the incarnations of Krishna. They all manifest just in Bharatvash because Varnashram was here. So Varnashram is a very exalted position, but it's just the beginning of the journey in this remarkable walk or pathway that Mahaprabhu is chalking out. So just to appreciate that, put it in context. And then further, Nishkaram Karma Yoga, which is a great step up from Varnashram. Nishkaram Karma, when we're offering the fruits of our activities to a supreme God. We may not know that supreme God, but still there's a mood of offering our the fruits of our activities to an object. So this is another huge step. So they're not just, we're going through the way we're going through, like in a few weeks, just scrolling through all the different stages. We should open it right out and see the enormity of all these stages in the evolution of the human life, of the conditioned soul. And then we come to Sharanagati, which is such a profound stage. And many great saintly persons, they spend their whole lives just talking about Sharanagati. So what an exalted stage this is to come to itself. And then the stage of Gyan Mishra Bhakti. This is like a Gyani focusing more on moksha, something. Now they're going something beyond this material existence, we can say. So that is also another tremendous step. And then Gyan Shunya Bhakti is an even more extraordinary step, because that step is taking us off the material problem. It's material platform. It's putting Gyan aside altogether. That path without Gyan. So Gyan Shunya Bhakti is accepted by Mahaprabhu, but still he wants to go further. And then after this Gyan Shunya Bhakti, we come to Prem. And in this Prem, this is actually the Prem of like Shantaras, as we've explained many times. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma na Sochiti na Kanchati. This is also an extraordinary platform to come to. But Mahaprabhu wants to go even further than this. I'm saying all this just to try to capture the entire continuation, or the melding together of all these steps to then appreciate more the final sadhya. So then after Prem is described, then Dasya Ras is described, more in the mood of Vaikuntha Bhav. We've described many times Vaikuntha has 2.5 rasas, Shantaras, Dasyaras, and a little bit of Sakyaras. So this is we're still at that stage, but that is still a very extremely exalted stage. Bhishma Dev, for example, he was going beyond moksha and he was going to Vaikuntha. So in Vaikuntha, these liberations of Salokya, Samipya, Sharsti, Sarupya, etc. are there. So it's like a glorified, liberated condition in Vaikuntha. And it's a very high stage. Bhishma Dev was a remarkable personality, a great saintly personality. But still his education, we can say, or what he understood was the sadhya, was as far as Vaikuntha. And then Sakyaras is higher than Dasyaras. And then Vatsalyaras, we might touch, I've described before, on the moods of Lord Ram, his relationship with his mothers, we can say, Kaushalya, Sumitra, Kaikeyi, etc., and a whole family situation. So this is becoming very much more personalized now in Vatsalya Bhav. Certainly with Devaki and Vasudeva in Mathura, this was very much now the mood of Krishna's personal form has become very much strong and manifesting. And then we take a big leap across from Vatsalya Bhav to Kanta Prem, it's described, or Madhurya Prem. And this Madhurya Prem is only in Vrindavan. It's nowhere else, this Madhurya Prem. So this Madhurya Prem, and we begin to hear about the Brijbasis and their Prem. And we hear about that in connection with Vatsalya Bhav, also in relationship with Yashoda and Nanda Baba, but really becomes more fully opened out in this Kanta Prem, this Madhurya Prem. And then we progress even beyond that Kanta Prem. Mahaprabhu wants to know more. So now in this Samvad, we start to establish and erect the pillars for what's about to come. And now Radha's Prem is going to be considered the sadhya, what is the love that Sri Radhika has for Krishna? And this is actually the identity of Mahaprabhu. What is the love? This is part of his, or one of his particular, he has these three desires. Shri Radhaya Pranaya Mahima Kidrishovanaiva Swadyenat Buddha Madbhuta Adurima Kidrishovamatiya Sokyam Kasyam Mad Anubhavita Kidrisham Vedilova. These three desires are there. And so the glories of Radha's love are in the first desire. So this prem of Radhika is described at this junction in the conversation. And now Mahaprabhu is going to inquire to go even further than this. So in order to go further, we have to erect the pillars of Krishna Tattva and Shakti Tattva or Radha Tattva. So those are the next two propositions of the sadhyas that are being described. And then the practically the conclusion, in fact, the sadhya itself of Prem, Vilas, Vivart. This is described after Radha Tattva. So all of these truths, I'm just going through like a whirlwind through these, but they are all unpacked that we can spend many weeks and months contemplating and appreciating the link and the chain that Mahaprabhu is giving us to make it very simple for our progress. And then after the sadhya, then how to attain the sadhya. Mahaprabhu is so generous-hearted, his gifts are so munificent. He's telling us how to attain that sadhya through Sakhi Bhav, through service to the Sakhis. And then there's so many verses describing the glories of Sakhi Bhav. And this is actually the Abhideya, the goal for the conditioned jiva. So we went through that. And then finally Mahaprabhu gives us even more. He goes through questioning, questions and answers. He gives us 13 questions are described. What is the greatest knowledge? What is the greatest treasure? What song should we sing? Who is to be worshipped? Who is to be honored the most? Very clear, very distinct, absolute. We can't make any mistake on this path. Mahaprabhu is giving us the path precisely. There's no abstraction here at all. It's not like maybe this, a little bit of that, a little bit. No, it's absolutely, categorically clear, crystal clear. And then after the questions, now we have a very sacred chapter, this final chapter, which actually going to principally bring out Srimad Bhagavatam. This is actually the truth that's going to come out in this final chapter, is the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like the seat or the platform where all these tattvas will reside upon. These tattvas are going to sit on this seat. We know this verse. What is it? Shri Radhaya, no. Aradayo Bhagavan Rajesha, Tanayas Tattama Vrindavana. Ramya Kachit Upasana Braja, Vadur Bhagena Vakapite. Now these are also progressions. Who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Brajendra Nandan Shamsundra, Tanayas Tat, the son of Nanda Baba. And who is to be worshipped, or who is worshipping the most, are the gopis. This Upasan, the Brajadevis are worshipping. And then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matam, no, that's the last line, sorry. Shrimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumatonata. That's the fourth line of this verse. Aradayo Bhagavan Brajesha Tanayas Tad Dhamma Vrindavanam Ramya Kachit Upasana Braja Vardu Varagena Vakalpite. Shrimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam Prema Pumaton. Well, we've actually walked through this verse in this whole Samvad. We've described Krishna as the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Lord of Vrindavan. Then we've described Ramya Kachit, we've described the gopis. And of course, thinking of the gopis, we're remembering Sri Radhika. And now we're going to be presenting the Srimad Bhagavatam, Pramanam, Amalam Prema Purmaturaya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Matam Idam Tatradaro Naparaha. This is Mahaprabhu's opinion. And he's giving us that in this verse, and he's giving us that also in this Raya Ramananda Samvada. So catch all the links together and see the completeness of of this gift of Mahaprabhu. So now we come to this chapter on 235, It's called the final evening. So we'll begin on page 235.
261 to 264.
So in the Madhya Lila, this is 262 to 265. These are the verses actually. Okay. No, please try to.
Ishtagoshti Krishna Kata Kahi Katakshana Prabhu Pada Dharin Ray Kare Nivedana Krishna Tattva Radha Tattva Prema Tattva Sar Rasa Tattva Leela Tattva Vividha Prakar Yeta Tattva Mora Chitte Kaile Prakashan Brahma Ke Vedayena Padaila Narayan Antaryami Ishwarera Ye Riti Hai Bahire Nakahe Vastu Prakasha Hridaye.
So before I read the translation, which is captured all in one paragraph, I want to just pull out this second verse that we just sang, Krishna Tattva, Radha Tattva, Prema Tattva Sar. This is actually verse 263 in Chaitanya Charitamrita. And just want to put the accent on this verse for a moment. There is a variety of transcendental truths, the truth about Krishna, the truth about Radharani, the truth about their loving affairs, the truth about transcendental humors, and the truth about the Lord's pastimes. So these are all the truths that we're unpacking in this remarkable Samvada. All these truths, Krishna Tattva, Radha Tattva, actually becomes to Sakhi Tattva, Leela Tattva, Rasa Tattva. All these truths are there. So the translation of all these verses is in one single paragraph here. That evening, when Sri Ramananda Rai came to meet Sriman Mahaprabhu, they discussed topics of Sri Krishna for some time. After this, Ramananda Rai caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord and prayed with great humility, "You have manifested within my heart the truths about Krishna, Radha, Prem, Ras, and varieties of pastimes. This is exactly how Sri Narayan imparted the Vedas to Lord Brahma. The Supersoul, or the Supreme Controller within everyone's heart, always speaks internally, not externally, thus granting a manifestation of the desired object within. This is his general practice." So this will be opened out now. As the Svetasvarta Upanishad 6.8 describes, Sri Bhagavan manifested and compiled the Vedas, which were disclosed within the heart of Brahma.
Yo Brahmanam Vidadati Purvam Yo Vai Vedanscha Prahinoti Tasmai Tam Hadevam Atma Buddhi Prakasham Mumukshurvai Sharanam Aham Prapadye.
So I would encourage you all, if you're on the WhatsApp group, to look at the documents that we posted today on these verses from Srimad Bhagavatam, first verse, first canto, which are going to be unpacked now. So in relationship to Lord Brahma, revealing these truths from Krishna. So I accept the shelter of that Bhagavan Sri Krishna, who in the beginning of creation inspired or manifested the Vedic knowledge within the heart of Brahma, and who manifests knowledge of the self, Atma Buddhi. It is also said,
Praha Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samhitam Brahmane Bhagavat Proktam Brahma Kalpa Upagate.
Srimad Bhagavatam 2.8.28. Sri Shukadev Goswami spoke this Srimad Bhagavatam Mahapurana, which is equal to the Vedas, in the same manner that Bhagavan himself spoke to Lord Brahma at the beginning of the creation. So this is actually Shukadev Goswami is saying this to the sages at Naimisharanya who are understanding Shukadev Goswami speaking to Parikshit Maharaj.
Kalena nashta pralaye vaniyam veda samhita मायादौ ब्रह्मणे प्रोक्ता धर्मो यस्याम मद आत्मकः.
This is from the 11th canto, 14th chapter, verse 3. My dear Uddhav, with the passage of time, this message of Vedic knowledge was lost when the annihilation took place. Thus, when the time of creation came again, I took it upon myself to instruct Brahma, and in these instructions I indeed described devotional service to me, Bhagavat Dharma. So this conversation is taking place between Uddhav and Krishna before the residents of Dwarka go to Prabhash for that final pastime when all the men of the Yadu dynasty, the Vishnu dynasties, etc., they annihilate each other. So this is the final pastime between Uddhav and Krishna. Okay.
लीला कथास्ते कथिता समासतः कात्स्येन नाजोपि अभिधातुम ईशः.
So this is from the 12th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th chapter, 39. So Shukadev Goswami is speaking to Parikshit. O best of the Kurus, I have given a brief exposition of Sri Bhagavan's pastimes. Even Lord Brahma himself would be incapable of describing these pastimes in their entirety.
Kasmai yena vibhasito yam atulo jnana pradipa pura.
This is again from the 12th canto, 13th chapter. This Srimad Bhagavatam is the best manifestation of knowledge of the truth of the Supreme Lord. Bhagavan Narayan had previously manifested to Lord Brahma. So these are the pramans for the efficacy of the Bhagavatam itself. Sri Rai's purpose here is to show the similarity between the way that the original poet, Sri Brahma, received complete Vedic knowledge within his mind, simply by the will of Sri Bhagavan, and the way that Sriman Mahaprabhu manifested all these truths in his heart, in the heart of Sri Ramananda Rai, and then had him reveal these same truths by speaking them. So this is making the, Ramananda Roy is making the example of when Lord Brahma was speaking this Bhagavatam after hearing from Krishna. Krishna is speaking into the heart of Lord Brahma, and then Lord Brahma is speaking to Narad, these four principal chatushlokis of the Bhagavatam, which he's going to relate to Narad. So it's the same mood that Lord Brahma has received this knowledge from Lord Narayan, and he's speaking now to Narad. So it's the revealed in Lord Brahma's heart, just like these truths have been revealed in the heart of Ramananda Roy. This is the comparison here, because this is what we're going to speak about basically for the rest of this evening, tonight. Go ahead.
The next verse.
Oh yes, the next verse. Oh, the next verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1 gives evidence for Sri Ramananda Rai's statement. So this understanding has all been gathered by the commentators, what's about to come. And now Ramananda Rai is going to substantiate all this by giving this first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the first verse.
8.265 Janmadhyasya yatonvayat itarataschatteshu abhignaswarat tene brahma hridaya adikavaye muhyanti yat surayah tejo varimritam yata vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha dhamna svena sada nirastakuhakam satyam param dhimahi.
For the serious student of wanting to appreciate this base platform line of the Srimad Bhagavatam in relationship to all the sadhyas that we've described, then this verse is paramount. And we've posted 3 different understandings of this verse by Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, by Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, and by my Gurudev, So I would encourage you all to print these 3 documents out and to always have them close by and study the moods and this foundation of Srimad Bhagavatam coming from this one singular verse. So the translation, we meditate on that Paramatma, that form of eternality and truth, by whom this world was created, maintained, and destroyed. He who pervades all spiritual substances. From that transcendental being come the spiritual world and the individual living being, both of which are similar in nature to him, this Achintya Bheda Abhed. The temporary material creation, however, is different from him. It is not inert matter. He is not inert matter. He is conscious. In other words, this is to defeat any impersonalist. He is not dependent. He is self-manifest. He is not Hiranyagarbha Brahma, who appeared from the navel of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Rather, he bestowed the Vedic knowledge upon Brahma. He causes even greatly learned scholars to become bewildered in the way that illusion creates mirages, such as the so-called appearance of water in the effulgent sun rays, land in water, and water on dry land. This material creation, consisting of the states of sleep, dreaming, and deep dreamless sleep, is brought about by the 3 modes of material nature. This verse is saying everything in existence is here. By his illusory potency, this material creation appears eternal, although temporary. By his own self-manifest effulgence, he remains always and in every condition liberated from the illusory potency named Maya and her activities. So as I've just described, we can study this verse through these 3 different commentaries. This explanation is based on the commentary of Sridhar Swami. So now we're having a 4th commentary. Our Goswami lineage has also presented the following explanation of this verse. So this is another explanation from our Goswamis also. All evidence ascertains that it is that supreme truth which creates, maintains, and destroys this universe. Upon deliberating on both the apparent and hidden meanings, one sees that only he is to be known. It is he, as he is the original form of all existence. It is he alone who is the self-manifest and independent master of this world that we see. It is he who, as the indwelling supersoul, gave teachings to Adikavaya, the original poet, Adikavi, the original poet, Lord Brahma, is that all-pervading truth. I'll read that again. It is he who, as the indwelling supersoul, because that's the most important part, as the indwelling supersoul, gave teachings to Kavi, the original poet, Lord Brahma, on that all-pervading truth. Contemplating him, all greatly learned scholars and pundits fall into illusion again and again. The 5 material elements seem to exist in him, but this is like a mirage in the desert. In him, the 3 types of creative potency, Jiva Shakti, which manifests the Jivas, Maya Shakti, which manifests the temporary universe, and Chit Shakti, which manifests the spiritual world, are present in a real form by the potency generated by his own Swarup, not from another agent or his Atma Shakti. He remains eternally beyond ignorance. We meditate upon that absolute truth, Sri Krishna. So this is a encapsulation of everything in existence. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given another translation of this verse in his book, Sri Bhagavat Arka Marichi Mala. A minute portion of the internal potency, Swarup Shakti, is the Tatashta, or Jiva Shakti, and the shadow portion of that internal potency is called the external potency or Maya Shakti. From the Tatashta or Jiva Shakti of Bhagavan, the individual spirit souls are manifest, and from Maya Shakti, the material world has manifested. Due to having a consciousness of separation and thus being opposed to the service of Bhagavan since time immemorial, the soul is put into a condition whereby he is illusioned into thinking that he is controlled by material nature. In other words, he's controlled by his body. His body, the illusion of being the body. The body is in control. My material mind, my material desires, etc., my material environment is what is controlling me, rather than the soul under the guidance of the supersoul within. Bewildered by the false ego and mistaking an object for something else altogether, that's his body, he considers the material body to be the real self. This is the illusion, such a deep illusion. The soul thus remains connected to this material world. The conclusion is that the material world, full of both moving and non-moving entities, is manifested both directly and indirectly from Bhagavan. So it's manifested directly through the Mayic energy and indirectly from Bhagavan's Chit Shakti as the Swarup of the Jiva internally. So in both instances. Mixing together Parush, Prakriti and the Mahatattva, there are a total of 28 ingredients in the creation. From these 28 tattvas, all the other moving and non-moving groups of living entities are said to be manifest. And of all these tattvas, the omniscient Supreme Person is the knower and the embodiment of real knowledge. The Lord is that supreme. Scholars have described the method by which one may differentiate between two objects, even though their intrinsic natures may be identical. It may seem identical. Among the 28 elements of the creation, there are two types of Purushas, or conscious entities. One is Purna, full Purush, the supreme controller, he who is the Lord of the illusory potency called Maya. And the second is Anu, like Anu Chit, the Jiva, Anu Purush, or the infinitesimal conscious entity, the Jiva, who can be controlled by Maya. Thus Bhagavan, the complete consciousness, is he who knows both the created and the uncreated. So this is substantiating Krishna as the Supreme Person and his illusory energy and the Jiva. These are called three vastus, which we describe in the first, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is described in the first chapter of Jaivadhamma. The three vastus, these three vastus cannot be broken down any. Krishna is that supreme. Maya energy is a complete separate, and Jiva Tattva is also a totally separate energy. They're three completely distinct energies, vastus. That Bhagavan, who is perfectly served by the strength of his own Swarup Shakti, his own potency, is situated in his own Swarup, even before the creation. Thus he is complete and self-manifesting. Aham eva sam eva gre. This is the first of the Chatushlokis. Krishna is saying to Brahma, or Narayan is saying to Brahma, before there was anything in existence, there was me. Before there was Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, anything, there was simply me. I was that only person in existence at that time. Aham eva sam eva gre, this first verse. If Rasamanjari is looking, she can post that first verse also on our thread for you to study and appreciate. After bestowing mercy upon the heart of the original poet, Sri Brahma was able to manifest the real meaning of the Vedas, which, due to being exceedingly difficult to understand, even for vastly learned persons, are the cause of their bewilderment. So vastly learned persons become bewildered because of this illusory energy. It's not dependent on their learning and their studying, as we studied repeatedly, it's dependent on the kripa, on the mercy of that person who's already connected with that spiritual energy, which is Sri Guru. There are three types of creation, namely that pertaining to spirit, that pertaining to the jiva, and that pertaining to dull matter. There are some examples of creation pertaining to spirit, such as fire, just as fire stays unmanifest until forced to appear. We've said so many times, fire is within all wood in existence, but it only will ignite either by rubbing together with another piece of wood or that is already on fire, until it is forced to appear upon the rubbing of two sticks. In the same way, even though the entire spiritual creation is eternally present, it only manifests according to the desire of Bhagavan. It's eternal, yet according to his desire it will manifest. Just like the fire is, we can say for the example's sake, eternally present in wood, but it will not manifest until a certain circumstance manifests for it to manifest. But the fire is there eternally. Similarly, this spiritual creation is eternally present. It's always there. There are other examples pertaining to the creation of the jiva, such as water. Upon becoming excessively cold, water becomes hard like a stone. Again, we have this example in the beginning of Jayabadama. It's called nishag, when the ice or iceberg takes on a very hard form. It loses its original nature. It gains an acquired nature. This is called nishag. This acquired nature is what the hardness of the mentality of the false ego creates, a harshness in connection with the Mayic energy. It loses its intrinsic, soft, sweet, spiritual nature. Upon becoming excessively cold, water becomes hard like stone, and upon being excessively heated, it becomes vaporous. So it transforms. There's vikar from the original, but still there is the original, but it's been transformed by the outside circumstances. The jiva emanates as a tiny particle of spirit, Chitkarna, from the sun-like Sri Krishna. Upon becoming opposed to the service of Bhagavan, the jiva takes shelter of a transformation of his original dharma and becomes bound by the deluding potency called Maya, just like the water becomes bound by the atmosphere, the very cold atmosphere, and becomes ice, or the very hot atmosphere and becomes vaporous. It loses its swabhav, its intrinsic nature. When the jiva becomes inclined towards Bhagavan and takes shelter of Bhagavat Prem, his heart melts and becomes exceedingly soft and affectionate. This is the transformation back into his original swarup, his original swabhav. He becomes very soft and affectionate in his nature. The examples are beautiful. The fruit of this is the inclination to engage in the service of Bhagavan. This is what the whole Srimad Bhagavatam is trying to encourage, and this is what we're breaking down this verse from the Bhagavatam. We haven't moved away from this first verse. Pertaining to the creation of inert matter, the example of the element earth is given. By fashioning clay, we can make pots and earthen bowls. In the same way, the material creation is simply a transformation of the sum total of the material elements, pradhan. Pradhan is the original conglomerate, manifested nature of the ingredients. The pradhan is just like the ingredients within a mother's womb. All the ingredients are there to produce a child, but it can't produce the child until the seed of the male has been injected into the womb. Only then that seed will agitate the pradhan to produce the prakriti, which is the material energy. And from that material energy will come the mahatattva, three modes of material nature, time will be activated, etc. But the seed has to manifest. So the pradhan is the original unconglomerate um, homogeneous, we can say, aspect, the pradhan, material elements, the total material elements. By Bhagavan's inconceivable potency, achintya shakti, the creation is certainly a reality. It is not false because it has emanated from Satya Swarup, that pure Swarup, Bhagavan, the very form of truth, even though it is temporary and destructible by nature. It's interesting we're talking about this subject today because tomorrow is Advaita Acharya's appearance day. And we always hear about this truth in connection with Advaita Acharya because he's manifesting this desire of the Lord to create this material energy through the potency of Mahavishnu. But this we'll discuss tomorrow. Sri Bhagavan is the object of his devotees' love, mercifully performs all types of activities by his potencies, Jeev Shakti and Maya Shakti. These are his potencies. But he always remains separate from these activities. Immutable, he is situated in his supreme abode, in his own Swarup, resplendent with full potency, Sri Radha. So this might seem very familiar for us because we've listened to it for so many years, but these truths actually evaded so many saintly persons before Mahaprabhu advented and before Mahaprabhu made these truths very, very clear by explaining the nature of the evolution of these material worlds is caused by Shakti, not by Krishna. They were considering Vastu Parinavad was transforming to create the worlds. But only on the advent of Mahaprabhu did they understand this Shakti is what is transforming. And this is what we're understanding here. It's Shakti in the form of Sri Radha ultimately. The moving and non-moving material creation is manifested directly and indirectly from Sri Bhagavan, who is endowed with complete potencies and who is all-knowing, complete, self-manifest, and beyond any transformations. No vikar, no transformations. It is by his mercy that the factual meaning of the Vedas was manifested in the heart of Lord Brahma. That must be coming from the heart of the source for it to manifest. And by his, where did I get to? It was by his mercy that the factual meaning of the Vedas was manifested in the heart of Lord Brahma, and by his inconceivable potency, he remains unchanged, even though performing the creation of the spiritual world. The jivas and the material world, this is what he creates. These three or two other vastus are emanating from the original vastu. The original vastu is Krishna. And the jivas and the material world, Maya, are the other vastus. I worship that Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, the Lord of Golok, whose spiritual form is true and eternal. We will worship him by remembering and chanting his name, form, qualities, and pastimes, which are all spiritual, being composed of Sat, Chit, Ananda. The sublime philosophy of inconceivable, simultaneous oneness and difference between Bhagavan and his potency, Achintya Bheda Abhed, is preached by Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is established in the explanation of this verse. Without this understanding of Achintya Abheda Tattva, which was gifted by Sachinandan Mahaprabhu, this verse would not have been able to be completely understood, not in its full richness, in its entirety. Again, we are getting such deep appreciation for Mahaprabhu by understanding Mahaprabhu in relationship to this first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Sri Ramananda Rai is quoting all the above mentioned evidence, intentionally attests that Sri Gaurasundar alone is factually the controller, the instigator of intelligence, to which the Gayatri mantra refers with the word Bhargo. So this is mentioned in the first line of the Gayatri mantra, this Bhargo Dimahi. He reveals that none other than Sri Gaurasundar has given this Krishna Tattva, Radha Tattva, Prem Tattva, and Vilas Rasa Tattva, as spoken from his Rai's mouth. So this is astonishing. All this is emanating from the mouth of Ramananda Roy, which is being impregnated by the moods and potency of Mahaprabhu directly himself. And the example is being given here of Lord Brahma revealing this Bhagavatam truths to Narad. This was injected into his heart. Tene Brahma Kridaya Adi Kavaya. Okay, build the next verse.
Prachodita yena pura saraswati vitanvatajasya satim smritim hridi swalakshana praduradbhut kilasyataha same rishinam rishabha prasidatam.
Now this verse is taken from the second canto, 4th chapter. Now we all know that in the second canto, this is the advent of Shukadev Goswami. Shukadev Goswami begins to only speak at the beginning of the second canto. And in this 4th chapter of the second canto, he's offering praise and glory to the Lord. There are 14 beautiful verses here where he's expressing his deep attraction to that Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's offering his praman to that Supreme Lord. So this is one of the verses. At the time of creation, in order to awaken within Brahma remembrance of the previous kalpa, he inspired the presiding goddess of knowledge, Divya Saraswati, who manifested herself through the mouth of Brahma in the form of the Vedas as the different limbs of knowledge. So this we discussed a little bit, touched yesterday. This Divya Saraswati, or Shuddha Saraswati. She manifests the Gopal mantra in the heart of Lord Brahma. And from that manifestation of the Gopal mantra, and from his tapasya to that Gopal mantra, then the calm Gayatri mantra will manifest in the heart of Lord Brahma, which is in the sound vibration coming from Krishna's flute directly from the spiritual world into the heart of Lord Brahma. This is all the understanding of this first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Who manifested herself through the mouth of Lord Brahma in the form of the Vedas and as the different limbs of knowledge. May Sri Bhagavan, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the root cause of all knowledge, be merciful upon me and manifest himself within my heart. This is the prayer of Shukdev Goswami in the Bhagavatam, right at the beginning. Sri Jiva Goswami says that the word Satyam indicates Jnanam, Antanam, Anantam, Brahm, or the supreme truth. This Paratattva is in terms of his Swarup, his energy, his thinking, feeling strength and willing, completely independent and eternally all-pervading. This is glorifying that Supreme Lord. The Paratattva is Sarva Shaktiman, omnipotent, omnipotent, Sarva Avatari, the source of all incarnations, Sarveshwari, the supreme controller, Param Satya, the supreme truth, and Parabrahm, the supreme soul. He is Brajendranandan Sri Krishna. This is such a profound presentation if we can appreciate these truths. This is laying such a platform for the absolute reality to manifest itself on, because it's about to, because Mahaprabhu is going to show his full identity here to Swarup Damodar. So we have to be versed in this very profound tattva to appreciate what's going to come next. In his commentary, Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains that Sri Krishna is directly and indirectly the upadan, karana, or the ingredient cause of creation, and the nimitta karana, the efficient cause. So again, it's remarkable. It's, what do you call it? Serendipity. It's remarkable we're hearing these terms today, and tomorrow, always on Advaita Saptami, we unpack these terms extensively. So this upadan, or the ingredient cause of creation, and the nimitta karan, the efficient cause. The universe is created, maintained, and destroyed by him. It has complete knowledge of matter and spirit. He is self-manifest and independent. He does not rely on anyone or anything. By him, even learned persons are bewildered. Solely by virtue of his desire, he manifested the Vedic knowledge in the heart of Brahma. One may confuse the three elements of water, fire, and earth, considering any one of them to be the other. Seeing water in earth, for example, a mirage. Earth in water, like a reflection. Or fire in water, the sunrise. It seems that fire is in the water, but it's an image, it's a mirage, like a mirage. In the same manner, by dint of one's faulty intelligence, created by the three modes of material nature, one might consider the body of that supreme controller to be false, or knowledge of him also to be falsehood, because Shraddha is at the bottom of our journey, our progress is faith. So if we're considering these truths as false, how can we proceed? Consequently, any object resulting from the mixing together of earth, water, and fire and air is a product of Maya's creation, is Maya Shakti, and as such, it is also false or temporary. Temporary is the word. He who directs the creative potency of Maya is not false or temporary. He who is not false or temporary. He who by his own potency, Swarup Shakti, dispels the influence of Maya or the illusory energy is forever present in his eternal abode. I meditate on that supreme controller. So this material world is not false, it is temporary. This is the nature of this material world. It's not a falsehood, but it's temporary. This verse, Janmadyasya Yata, also depicts the pastimes of Sri Gauranga. Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who descended to this world, is Krishna covered by his Ashraya Swarup Sri Radha in order to taste his Krishna's own sweetness, Adasya. He manifested his pastimes of birth, Janma, in the house of Sri Sachi Devi and Sri Jagannath Mishra, Yata, from Navadvip Dham, Tata, and he later traveled Anavyat to Sri Nilachal Dham, Itarasha. He's unpacking the word for word of the first verse here. These are referencing it's the Anvaya of the first verse that my Gurudev is touching upon and explaining in relationship to Mahaprabhu. And we have this explanation of my Gurudev, the third document that we put on our WhatsApp post today, explaining my Gurudev's description that Mahaprabhu gives of what is the Satyam Paramadhimahi, what is the ultimate goal of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because this is completely in tune with what is the ultimate goal of life. This is what this book is about. What is the ultimate goal of life? So the ultimate goal of life is being opened out in the very first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. And it's a very deep meditation indeed. He is expert, abhigna, in the subject matter of the wealth of prem, arteshu, and he, Yah, expanded, tena, the essence of the Vedas, Krishna Tattva, Krida, before the best of poets, Sri Ramananda Rai, Yah Adikavaya. Same as the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. In front of him, even learned scholars, Suryaha, are placed into bewilderment, Muyanti. When the five material elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, Tejo, Varim, Ridam, interact in the right proportions in the presence of Mahaprabhu, then an astonishing level of bhakti arises which allows those proud scholars the fools, the poor forest tribes, hunters, aboriginals, bears, trees, creepers, etc., to attain the mercy of prema bhakti and become inclined towards Bhagavan by the effect of his own svena, his own internal potency, damna. He dispelled the illusion, nirasta kuhukam, or of jnani sadhaks, such as Vasudev Sarvabhauma. He, Yatra, manifested his opulence and glories in the three blissful dhams of Navadvip, Nilachal, and Vrindavan. Tri Sarga. He is always true and eternal. Amrisha. I always meditate, Dimahi, on that Paratattva, Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu, who is Satya Swarup, whose form and nature are eternal and true, Satyam Param. So this is the Gayatri mantra that is concealed, not really concealed, but it's there within the first verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this first verse is what we've basically unpacked today. It's very deep, it's very significant, but with attention and focus, we can appreciate the enormity of the truth that is substantiated here as Krishna being that source, that origin. Aham eva sam eva gre. He was that original personality before there was anything else. And this is all manifesting from him. So if you take to heart these three documents that we put on our WhatsApp thread, you can see clearly these three descriptions from the one singular verse. And this now is being applied to Ramananda Rai. So we have the fourth treatise, so to speak. We have these three documents that we've placed with Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, with Bhaktivedanta Swami Narayan Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, rather, and my Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Maharaj. Three explanations. And then we have this layering, sitting on the throne of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is what this final evening chapter is proposing, is saying for our meditation, that place all these sadhyas we've heard throughout these few weeks. We've heard all these sadhyas. Now place them all on the platform, on the throne of this Srimad Bhagavatam. Understand how this is being painted practically. It's almost like a picture that is painting that all these truths are on that throne of the Bhagavatam. Very clearly, because Srimad Bhagavatam will scroll through all of these truths systematically. These first 9 cantos are simply establishing Krishna as that supreme personality of Godhead in 9 cantos. Then it comes to the 10th canto, describing the very personal nature of Krishna in Madhurya Ras, in Vrindavan, and only touches for about 25 chapters there. And then immediately it goes to Dwarka and discusses the intimacy there of the Dwarka pastimes. And then the 11th and 12th cantos describe how to actually access here. So it's the same dynamic as this Ramananda Rai Samvada. Just hear this conception, and through time, some understanding of this will come. If we regularly meditate on this divine conversation between Ramananda Rai and Mahaprabhu. It's very sacred, most special conversation. Okay, so Shri Ramananda Rai Samvada Ki Jai. So tomorrow we'll come to, or not tomorrow rather, tomorrow we'll celebrate Advaita Saptami. But the day following is Madhvacharya's appearance day, I think. It's appearance day. And we will glorify him. In particular, Shamadidi, she will speak on Madhvacharya. And we perhaps might get some time after that to touch on the rest of this chapter. Otherwise, the next day is Ramanuja Acharya's appearance day, I think. And we might get some more time there. But certainly on Saturday, we will recap these final words of Mahaprabhu in this final chapter. So this is quite extraordinary. It's ending on such a high pitch of Mahabhav Swarupini, Sri Radha. That's where it's going to end. It's galloped practically through all these different stages, which in the Srimad Bhagavatam consists of 9 cantos. So we've gone through them just in a few very brief chapters here. But in Bhagavatam gives 9 cantos to come to this sadhya. So this is extraordinary treatise and document that Mahaprabhu is benedicting the faithful jiva with in this Ramananda Samvada. Ki Jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhuvevacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo, Namo Namaha. Shri Gurudev Ki Jai.